This is a meeting of the Ortonville Village Council. It's a regular meeting. It is Monday, August 26th, and it is 7 p.m. We're holding this meeting at the Township Building. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to ask Matt to lead us, and I'm going to go over here with that one.
Matt.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we go any further, I just want to mention that Matt did lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, but I just wanted to introduce him to anybody that's here. There's I'm sure an extremely large TV audience that's also focused in here. So I want to welcome you to the Village of Ortonville and to the board. We look forward to having you as the village manager moving forward. A little bit about your background is you got a bachelor's degree at Western, then you got a law degree from Northern Kentucky, and since that time have been a practicing attorney in numerous different fields. And you belong to the Ortonville-Oxford community, meaning you live in Brandon, but also have some ties with Oxford and sports and things of that nature. So if anybody wants to know more about him, hang around and we'll tell you some more, but I did want to make an introduction.
Paying him now if he can. Why would he want this job?
Well, we asked ourselves that question, and he did sign on the dotted line, and we weren't going to let him off the hook. So we're going to keep him around. He's got some amazing credentials, and
I can see that, but you kind of kind of wonder why.
well,
I'll wait another month before I ask
Yeah.
that question.
we did interview several candidates, and there were some other good candidates that came around, but once we did his interview, he kind of rose above the other ones as well. So he is the new village manager. I know he gets out and about. I'll pass him on the street corner and going to visit with different businesses and things of that nature. So the office is always open, and I think he's always welcome to speak with a guest or a resident who happens to stop in.
Glad to catch you up on village court. So.
Well, that's probably another one of those things that we are going to discuss at some point in time. But that was just the introduction I wanted to make at this time. I do want to move on to the roll call.
President Mary.
Here.
Nivell.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Hayden.
Here.
Randazzo.
Here.
Mold.
Here.
Okay, that was roll call of the council. Next is approval of the agenda. We have 14 items on here. Most of them are pretty routine, and we discuss them usually at most every meeting. We do have a few new things and a few things that I'm sure we're going to want to all discuss. But with that being said, the agenda does look fine with me.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next is the introduction. I kind of jumped the gun on that one and went straight into it, but because he had done such a good job with the Pledge of Allegiance, I thought that was a good time to jump down and introduce him at that time. Approval of a council minutes, we have 3 items. A regular meeting on July 22nd, a special meeting on July 31st, and a closed meeting on July 31st as well. They both took place at the same time, same location. There's just 2 sets of minutes because when we close the session and go into closed, it officially becomes a different meeting altogether. So those are the 3 sets of minutes, and I would kind of like motions on them individually if I can.
Make a motion to approve the regular minute meetings of July 22nd, 2024. Support.
All right, all those in favor of supporting those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, item B.
Make a motion to accept the special meeting minutes, July 31st, 2024, as presented.
Support.
Okay.
Can I make a change to that meeting,
No.
those minutes, before we vote on it? No?
Yes, you.
You mean your late thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add that.
All right, I just would like it to say, it says on here I was late, and I just want it to be shown that that was with notice.
And she'll make that notation. Just in general,
Okay.
so you know, matters that are substantive, we would rarely we would discuss them later and then decide if
Okay.
it was going to go in or go out, because everybody hears something different, and sometimes the minutes aren't as accurate as, you know, as I think they might be, as maybe you might think. So we run into that occasion on time to time. It's pretty rare. Most of the time, we all agree that they're pretty accurate or close enough to, that we can call them minutes. But if there was something that was of substance, I would just adjourn it to the next meeting.
Okay.
But being late, that doesn't count as anything
No, it's just a
of
minor.
substance, for sure.
I'd like to revise my motion to accept the minutes with the revision of Linda's with notice. Everything else the same.
Okay,
I'll still support that.
Thank you.
okay, moved and supported. Is there further discussion on the minute agenda? In that case, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those minutes are accepted. Number C.
Make a motion to accept the closed meeting minutes of July 31st, 2024.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported. Those minutes are extremely short because those notes are taken separately and stay in a closed file for a year because they have to do with contractual information and those types of matters that may not be ready for public consumption at that time. So they're not secret meetings, and they're not meant to be deceptive at all. They're just how the course of business goes when you're bidding out contracts with employers or employees and things of that nature. So that's the reason those minutes don't really exist in length on this paper, but they do exist. They do exist. So that takes us past,
Can I have a question on that one?
yeah, sure.
I didn't get a copy of the,
You have to come in and read them. They do not get sent out because they
Okay.
are closed.
Yeah.
okay.
They're just going to go in the personnel file, I believe,
Correct.
for a year.
Yeah, that's okay. I just was wondering because I had not seen any copy.
I haven't either, yeah.
So
I
I was
do.
just wondering how we accept something we haven't seen, that's all.
Well,
The manager has gotten to read it and review it.
It basically just says there was a
meeting,
meeting. That's all it said.
Yeah.
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 That's all we're going
Yeah,
to
okay.
approve.
But-
It happened.
Yeah.
And that's all we're required to notify the public of. So that's the part that I wanted to make a clarification with for these folks. It's been moved and supported. Is there further discussion on the closed session? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Those opposed? Our 3 sets of minutes are now officially a part of the village document system, and they're official. Item 7 is acceptance items. These are items that we receive in the normal course of business. They don't necessarily need to be voted on, but we like to make everyone on the council aware of them, as well as people in the audience. And that is, the DDA had a meeting on July the 15th. Those minutes are available. Our local attorney gives us a monthly invoice, and we put that as an item that we receive. And so people know that we do get legal advice from time to time. There's a finance report from August 2024. Got a lot of numbers on it, and it's a lot to read, but it's in there if anybody cares to go over it. And then the last item is the revenue expenditure report, and that's very similar to the finance report. It's just an accounting of each one of the village's accounts and what they began with and what they ended with. So those are items that we just accept in the course of business, and they are available in the village office, should anyone want to take a look at them. And at this time, those items are accepted. It brings us on to number 8, which is approval of disbursements. This is a little different than the finance reports because this is actual money that we spent, that we sent out. And that has to be voted on individually. And if anybody cares to.
I make a motion that we pay our bills ending August 15th, 2024, in the amount of $32,840.07.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported to pay the bills for the month. It looks like there's about, I'll say, 35 items on here, and most of them are ones that we see routinely, so they're pretty regular to most of us. Anyway, the amount's 32 and some change. Moved and supported. Is there further discussion on the disbursements? If not, a roll call vote, please.
Nivell.
Yes.
Brooks.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Hayden.
Yes.
Randazzo.
Yes.
Mold.
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Okay, by unanimous vote, we are approving the disbursements for the month. kind of flipping around some pages here, so hold on.
We're at public comments.
We got all done with all that other stuff, eh? Okay, this was not in order for me. On to public comments for the village. We do allow a time for anyone in the public to come to one of our public meetings and speak to us at the podium about any issue of their choosing. And now is the time where we could do that if somebody chooses to. If you do, please just raise your hand so I can acknowledge you. I know that's good enough. If you don't mind, come on over here and just say your name first so that we all know who you are.
First and last name, please.
Faye Bindig. I don't know if you want me to talk now or if you will have questions. It's in regards to the community credits.
The thing that's on the agenda?
Yes.
For the transit.
Yeah,
for the
okay.
transit.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you talk now because
Okay.
once we begin the public part, we just can't hop and bop around. But there may be some follow-up we're going to need to do on that regardless. Because there were a couple of questions that I had as well. Let's put it that way. So-
Okay.
But I would like to hear from you.
So I am here on behalf of the Brandon Township Edna Burton Senior Center Smart Transportation Program. I don't know if you guys have been kind of being pushed with NODA to give the Oakland County money to them, or the smart community credits to them. They get the Oakland County money. We get nothing. If you guys don't give us your community credits, we don't get anything from the village. I did this a couple weeks ago in Groveland, and they gave us every bit of it. So I just want to give you a little background. We transport village residents, the village of Ortonville, Brandon, and Groveland, which you all know. But we do transport quite a few village residents. We deliver meals to village residents for Meals on Wheels. We deliver Focus Hope, which is a senior low-income food program once a month from the federal government. And every 3 months, we deliver TFAP, which is low-income, anyone over 18, another food program. It's a little more diverse. Sometimes it'll have meat, sometimes just staples. But I want to give you a little bit of info. We do have a suggested donation. The keyword being suggested. The second keywords are, we don't very often get that money from the passengers. I did a little research again on NODA. NODA has now changed their rate. You don't pay, you don't get on the bus.
What is the rate?
$4 each way,
Okay, and it was previously 2.
yes.
And what do you charge?
We charge $2 up until like Waterford. Well, it's not really a charge, it's a suggested
What do you,
donation.
yeah, right, what's your donation
From
request?
Waterford to like St. Joe's, we ask $3 each way.
Okay,
Anything past that, we ask that a donation of $5.
okay,
Now, mind you, the only place we do not go is Ann Arbor. We take people to Clinton Township, Southfield, Macomb, Sterling Heights.
do you do Genesee, are you,
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We do Genesee County also. But they you have to call at least 72 hours in advance to make a reservation also
For who?
for NODA?
for NODA. And you're only allowed to make your appointment up to 1 month in advance. I have them on sticky notes in next year's calendar already because
Yeah.
my people know, hey, the faster you get it, the sooner you call us, then you know you'll be on the books. Yes, they have an impressive number of vehicles, but They don't always offer the same thing we do. If you go to the doctor's and the doctor gives you a script, what are you going to do on the way home? You're going to stop and pick it up. If you're riding with NODA, that's not allowed. You have to call, make another appointment, pay another $4 each way to the pharmacy and back. Whereas all my drivers have to do is call and say, hey, Faye, do I have time? Stop. You're going by it anyway. Doesn't matter. Stop. Also, their ruling is 5 minutes is what they wait for you. And if you're not out of that doctor's office, 5 minutes, say you made an appointment to be picked up at 3 o'clock, at 3:05 and 30 seconds, they're gone. You are also charged $2 then as being a no-show. And if you have to call them again to get another ride, you also have to pay the $4 again.
That's crazy.
So there is a lot of, they don't help their passengers like we do. You're only, if you go grocery shopping, you are only allowed 6 bags.
Mhm.
You get 7 bags, that 1 bag's staying at the store. And if the driver doesn't feel like it, now I'm getting all of these right out of their rules and regulations on their website. If the driver doesn't feel like helping you carry your groceries off the bus up to the door, they don't have to. My driver's better. Because that's part of their job. If you don't, sometimes you can't get into some places by yourself. They take you to the door, that's it.
Okay, Faye, well, that certainly was educational for me. There's a lot about that I did not know prior than today. So
Are we asking our questions now or later
About who?
about this?
It's on our agenda for,
So later then?
Yeah,
Okay.
later.
Then I'll-
so, yes, ma'am. If you'd like to speak?
Hello, Lori Hack. This is regarding our neighbor to the north at 820 Village Pine Lane. Sorry. Laurie.
What's the last name?
Haack.
Thank you.
This is regarding our neighbor to the north at 820 Village Pine Lane, who is cutting down his own trees and burning them in a double-barrel wood burner to heat his above-ground pool. Because of the moisture in the wood, it creates a great deal of smoke, and that is very hard to tolerate in terms of breathing and enjoyment of our outdoor activities. I have talked to him about the concerns and only get a close your windows reply. We have 8 neighbors. We have 4 here today. In our vicinity, they have all signed a petition that I brought with me. Sorry, I've lost my place. About wanting this neighbor to stop burning and heating his pool in this manner. We all are also concerned about the proximity of the wood burner being right at our lot line within our tree line border. In the Ortonville Code of Ordinance, it states in Section 9, under public nuisances, his burning is making our outdoor space unenjoyable and unhealthy. The manufacturers of these double burners also have a warning on their websites that these should not be for customers who do have close proximity of neighbors. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Sorry.
We understand.
And I would like to see that that inside the village limits, these types of wood burning units are prohibited in such close proximity to other neighbors who want to enjoy the outdoor space, such as the neighbors like him. I have pictures. I have the petitions of all of our neighbors. I can show you the proximity. It is insanely close where he lives to where we live. And his,
Well, Lori, we're certainly going to have to look into that, and I
Okay.
want you to drop those off at the village office.
There's also a stench.
Oh, I could understand that perfectly. What we are going to have to do is, obviously, thank you for coming in and explaining it. Thank you for getting your neighbors involved as well. That's always helpful. Also, there's kind of a 3 steps, not 3 steps, but three interested parties in this, and one would be the village council, one's the planning commission, and one's the fire department, so.
We've already
It's-
talked to the fire department because
Well,
it,
I'm sure you have, but we haven't got a solution yet. So
Okay.
they're going to be part of any solution that we come up with, I'm sure. Or at least they're going to be involved in the process of forming a ordinance or something of that nature. So is the planning department going to have to.
well,
gonna have to get-
the fire department is out because it's controlled.
They're not out. We can,
It's contained.
we can ask them, we can ask them to assist us, and they would at the drop of a hat. So we have to, we're going to have to definitely delve deeper into this. All of your information is, A, I'm sure verifiably true, and B, will probably have a good deal to do with what the outcome of this is going to be. But on the other hand, we just can't just take a vote right now and say, okay, we're going to go there tomorrow and haul that thing away, because we couldn't do that either.
Right.
So we've got to find a way to solve this problem where you don't have that inconvenience anymore. I wouldn't want that next to my house, I can tell you that.
Well, exactly. So if he's doing it, anybody else could do it too, so,
I agree, but we have to fix that.
right.
So we-
May I ask something? Have you filled out the formal complaint with the village office yet?
No. I called a month ago, the day after your last meeting, and I talked to Beth.
Okay.
And she told me, get the petition, get whatever you can bring, so I did. And said,
You're on the
come
right
to-
track. I mean,
Okay.
no question about it, but we just can't issue changes of that nature without doing our research as well.
No, I know that this is our first step.
Yeah.
We've called the police, we've called the fire department, so our
Again,
next step
You're
is.
doing everything right.
Okay,
We just have to see it through.
okay, so what's
We have to
what's
have the
our
formal
next step?
complaint filed with the village manager.
So I go into the village
Bring all
tomorrow,
of that, bring all your
Yeah, your petition and your
documentation.
photographs and everything you've got.
And you'll meet with our village manager, he'll fill out the form. He's going to be deputized soon. We do not have someone that just officially does code enforcement here. It's our village manager who has that job. He has to be
Nobody
deputized.
does code enforcement. I tried. I even volunteered to do it.
Okay, right. But, no, we don't have a body that does that because our village manager does do that.
Okay.
So file the paperwork, give it to him, and then he'll take it from there.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
All the
thank
steps
you.
you've taken so far, in my opinion, have been correct. But
Okay.
I want to apologize that sometimes it takes a little bit longer than what we would all like it to be.
Season is short.
I'm sorry?
I said the season is short.
Yeah, I know.
But it'll be ready for whenever after that.
I would probably say before we even have a solution, his pool season will, probably be gone unless he uses it
Yeah,
for,
this pool should be torn down, though. So.
well, that might be another issue altogether. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak to the council? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my name is Sharon Wyatt. I just wanted to say all the improvements you did on that little park were very nice. I walk my dog, through there on Hummer Road. Anyway, I was just going to ask, there's, just that little muddy stream. I was just wondering if the village could, put a couple of 2x4s so you could get across there.
We've been struggling with that for about 10 years.
Oh,
It's
just,
an
you know-
underground spring. Anytime we do something, we pour concrete, we dig ditches, we put in drains. It is an ongoing problem. Every time we fix the problem, about 3 months later, it returns again.
No, but I was just wondering if you could put a
I'm sure
couple
they
of
can.
boards,
I'm
so.
sure that they can do something that makes it a simple way to walk
Are you
across.
talking alongside it where it's muddy? Or,
Yeah, just, no, there's a little stream there.
Right.
And you've got to cross to get to the other side. It's not a big deal, but you got to cross it.
Okay.
And your
talking about-
shoes sink in the mud.
Opposite the post office on the church loop, that spot?
No, it's right off of, what is that road you come down?
You come down Mill,
Just
then you got
Main
Church.
Street, when you go down Main Street.
Okay,
It
south.
turns into,
Hummer Lake Road?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's before that, when you enter the park and you go in there, where they've got that little sign where you wipe your shoes.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, when you walk in there,
Well,
and
our DPW guy is
Just a couple of little,
very, very, very much aware of the water issue right there.
Yeah.
And
just a
we
couple
can get
of
with
little
him
planks
tomorrow,
of
have him
wood.
take another look, see if there's a temporary
Yeah.
solution.
That's
I-
all.
I do know that this is at least, 10 years in the making, and it is water wins.
Yeah, it does, but it would be nice. Anyway, thanks.
Well, thanks for coming to speak with us, Sharon.
Wyatt. W-I-E-T.
Okay, Sharon, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak to the council? Okay, thank you. That takes care of public comments. Items from trustees. I can start down with Ashley.
Oh, thanks. I would say farmers markets were pretty good the last few weeks, month. It's been a month, right? Yeah, month.
Yeah.
They're all good. The one was kind of bummer because of rain and sickness, I guess. The only thing that came up for me was Parks and Rec had movie night.
Yeah.
I think it was a little dismal than what they expected. The food trucks looked very bummed that no one really showed up.
How many showed up, roughly?
Maybe like 15 people.
Okay.
Definitely more kids than adults in a sense, but they looked a little sad. And then I heard from a couple businesses that they weren't notified. So I don't know if there was just a communication issue or whatnot, or it wasn't really. I mean, probably on Parks and Recs more than anything, but.
It was a Brandon
Yeah.
sponsored?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was kind of bummed on that for them because the food truck was actually really good.
Yeah. That's money. Time is
Yeah.
money for them and product and
Yep.
all that.
But I think it would be really good to have though, like throughout the summer, now that summer's over with, but it's a fun little thing to have because I think the kids seem to really enjoy it in the park and play and that kind of thing.
Does
so,
seem like a nice activity.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kay?
I also wanted to comment about the farmer's market. I come down here every week, and it's just, I'm sure it fluctuates how many people come and don't come, but it's always busy. I mean, there's a lot of people, they're going around, looking and seeing and buying. So it's just, they're really doing a great job putting that together. And the other thing, and we might have talked about this before, but I didn't think so. I thought just lately, within the past month, those new signs went up on all the locations, and they look really good.
And all of them? What do you mean by?
Well, to the two entrances.
Okay.
The one coming in from.
Groveland's been
Groveland,
up, yeah, so the new
And
one
then
at South.
at South.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kay. Melanie?
Okay, we'll be having some items come to you from Planning Commission that are going to be permits for council to look at in a packet, one full packet. It'll be plumbing, mechanical, building, electrical type of permits. We are revising those forms. However, Brandon Township will be doing the actual paperwork and permitting because it goes right to directly to them anyways, instead of having us be like the third party. Jason will be doing that. He's the guy we have that we hire to go out and give a yay or nay to building permits. So that'll be happening through the township. However, the village will still be getting the money for the actual permit. So it's not taking any monies away from our budget. It's just streamlining actually the process. And farmer's market, yep, I always pop in and I always miss the blueberries and strawberries. You don't get there right away, and I don't get there right away, but I think they've been really a nice market this summer.
Only question for you about those permits.
Mm-hmm.
Do they also cover the administrative approvals? I know that was something that we had for certain types of permits.
Those will still be, like, we had that for after, under a certain amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, that
Okay.
those will still be covered, yep.
Melanie, which permit were you mentioning?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, which permits were you mentioning that they were gonna
For
change?
building, for the plumbing, mechanical, electrical, any permitting that we do through the village will actually be done through the township. And we have them roughly formed, but we have to tweak. And it will be coming to council probably at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Linda?
I have a couple things. I've been attending the Septemberfest meetings. Not a whole lot difference in this last meeting, new information. I also have started attending Christmas in the Village, but more as a representative of my church than our village, but it gives me the ear of what's going on, and they're still in a lot of planning at this point. And they did have some ideas that I can bring to Matt or you later going forward. The other thing is the survey. We received the survey results from the Parks and Rec 5-year plan. I don't believe we're going to discuss those with anybody until after Septemberfest, just because Parks and Rec's a little tied up with that right now. I also spoke to Lisa Easterwood, who's working on our Crossman Park updates, and how we're going to go about getting that updated. And she just talked about she's done some work and wants to meet with us soon. So those are all coming up.
And she's from the company we hired?
Yep, that
Okay.
F&V.
Yeah.
Fleissen Vanden.
Yep, that one.
Vandenbrink, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I remembered F&V. I don't remember the name.
Right.
All right, thanks, Linda. Larry?
Yeah, I also have been going to those Septemberfest meetings, and I want to say that I think John Hug's been doing a really good job of trying to coordinate activities around these events. It seems like it's going to be a lot better organized and coordinated than some of the past ones, so that's I think that'll be good. So I think he's doing a good job with that, and I'm hoping to see a successful event for that. One topic that was brought up during public comments, and something that I would still like to address, is related to our burning ordinances. Now, obviously, they're talking about something a little different than the open burning ordinance, but I would like to have us at some point try to pick that topic up with the township, because my understanding is township is going to be reworking their ordinance, and there's significant discrepancies between our ordinance and the township ordinance, and right now, Brandon Fire Department is only enforcing township ordinance, so they're not enforcing our ordinance specifically within the village, and we need to get into alignment with that and address that. If we do that, then we could maybe address some of these other topics that were raised by the citizens earlier. And then I am going to try to get together with Matt sometime based upon his schedule and when it might be convenient to try to get together with the streets meeting and go over the current streets projects and the streets and sidewalk projects that are in the capital improvement plan, so we can kind of align on that topic. And that's
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Tony?
We haven't had a meeting with IT, but I'm gonna get with Matt and Amber and get a date set for that, and still working on the forms, and those are coming along. And I believe that is it for right now.
Okay, thank you. This is a rarity. It takes us to number 11, unfinished business, of which there is none. I'm quite certain that our next meeting will contain some unfinished business items. Not a guarantee, but just a gut feeling. Moves us on to new business, interlocal authorization agreement. Matt put in our packet a brief description of what it is and what we have to do with it, and he also supplied us with a framework for a motion. What this really means is, I think it's just more housekeeping items, where if we do ever have to apply for something, I am the signer on behalf of the village government. And this motion gives me the authority to do so.
Make a motion to enter the draft resolution into the record as the motion itself is to be voted upon.
Support?
Yeah.
It's word, I
Okay.
just
Did you support?
worded it as
Yeah,
it was
I think he was saying, like, yeah, just to make, I think he was recommending what you, okay. I don't think he wanted that verbatim,
What
but,
did he want,
okay.
Melanie?
Just that we recommend a resolution to affirm this.
I thought that's what I said, but okay, however you want to word it is fine.
Is,
No, that's fine, just,
yeah, I was just going to say, everybody's read this over and everybody's certain what we're doing here. It's just, this wasn't even Matt's request. It was something had come up with somebody, and I don't know what it was going to be, but it required a signature on it. And he said, who's your signer? And he said, well, Ken Quisenberry is. He's the president. He said, well, we just need something that says that. So it's to protect somebody else, that some forger doesn't come in and forge a grant application on the village's behalf. It has to contain the signature of the clerk and the signature of me.
Yeah, Ken, I think in most cases like this, we typically would say, we make a motion to approve the resolution and give the whole title to it as presented, something like that.
You know, I don't care how we pass
Covers
it.
the title.
But quite often on lengthy ones like this, we just say as presented, and then this document becomes what's approved. So
But we normally would include the title of it in there so that it's.
Resolution to
exactly
affirm
identified.
actual authority for execution of an interlocal agreement?
Yeah, that's what I would probably
That's what I
include in
said.
there.
Okay. Well, I think we all know,
I mean, you can word it that way.
I think we all know that, and this has then been motioned, supported, and discussed. And because it is a motion, or because it is a, because it's an order, I'm just going to ask for a roll call vote.
Brooks,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Ada,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Nivell,
yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. All right, that was wordy, but we made it through it. Next is the DDA board appointment. We mentioned this last week, and Stephanie Alowski has been asked to, or volunteered to join the DDA board, and at our meeting, we approved her to, at our DDA meeting, we approved her to, but then there was some talk about if the village council should also make that same approval, and we decided that it sure can't hurt. So Stephanie did provide us with her application. It's got some information on it. I've looked it over. I've actually known Stephanie, so I would recommend her as well, that the full board approve her appointment to the DDA board.
Make a motion to approve Stephanie Alowski to the DDA Board of Directors, effective, would we want an effective date? I know it's for
Class
4
of
years.
2028.
Class of 2028, okay.
There we go. And if everybody hasn't had a chance, there's a document that she provided for us to, says a little bit about herself and her company and her dedication to the community. So I know the DDA board welcomes her, and so does the village council. All those in favor, say aye.
I need a second.
Support.
Oh,
Support.
Yeah.
I was about to
Okay.
throw that in you.
Moved, supported. Any other discussion about Stephanie and/or her qualifications?
Very excited to have her come on board.
Just so everybody's aware, the DDA is, I think, allotted up to, is it 11 or 12 spots
Those meetings too, right?
that they can have on the board? But we usually end up carrying a few extra vacancies just because
she's been
they're not always easy to fill.
Until she has some family.
State requires a minimum of 9.
Okay?
That includes the village council president as an automatic appointee. This will be
So they give us that little window of 9 to 11, in case somebody wanted to come next week, we have the room to.
If you've got really big plans and you.
Yeah, you're right. You better bring something to the table, is what you're saying. I understand that. Okay, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, welcome aboard Stephanie. And thanks, Matt. Special event, it's Black Hawk Bat Tournament. kind of caused a lot of questions to pop up in my head,
Yeah.
reading through this. It seems extremely, what's the right word? Large and aggressive. And I love tournaments that come to town and social events and things like that. The only thing that has me a little bit here is the number of vehicles we're going to be inundated with.
And it's homecoming that weekend.
Well, it's homecoming, it's also the very last day of the farmer's market, so everybody is going to be fighting for one or two spots of parking in town.
On Friday, we have not received a homecoming parade permit yet, so I do not know if they're going to have one. Does anyone
I
know?
thought they were gonna have a parade.
I
They
called the
usually do.
PlayStation and Glover and Hubble. They're not in, so Hubble will be there at 8:30 in the morning, and I will be giving him a jingle.
Thank you.
Because nobody could answer whether or not they turned anything in to the police department.
Okay,
So I will find out tomorrow if they did, and if it was just one of those things since Glover's been gone,
right.
that it just didn't get pushed on. So I'll find out tomorrow.
Thank you. And then that's usually what you found out for us today around 5:30 is what the previous permits have been for homecoming.
Yes.
Okay.
Aren't the permits supposed to first be submitted to us and then we send them on to police and fire?
They can walk to the fire department and police department and get their signatures first.
Oh,
It doesn't
okay.
matter.
We still have final, authority on it.
My question for it is, are they supposed to be 60 days previous? Is
They're
that like
supposed
a
to, but the
final
thing,
written rule?
the thing
or-
with the school last time
Okay.
was it was submitted from the student council.
Okay.
And if there was a whole new student council or something put on, somebody dropped the ball
They might not
there.
know.
Gotcha.
And they're,
So we don't officially know what's going on because school hasn't started yet. So, so I
Gotcha.
have not been contacted by the student council, and I will find out if the police department have.
And last year, their permit came in June.
Yeah, and that's.
So
because-
that's why we were
Okay.
thinking, someone forgot
Well-
to do it. Or maybe they're not having one. We don't know.
And this is for 3 days, from 8 in the morning till 10 PM.
Yeah.
And I also noted that the village is not listed as the second coverage
Right,
in the insurance,
which,
which is a problem for me.
yeah.
I would add to that if I can, that I did speak to
Please.
the director this morning, asking for their liability certificate, which is when they sent us this. I did tell him that the village needed to be listed as a second insured on that liability certificate, but this is what he sent.
Oh, you knew ahead of time, okay.
okay. But, again, it seems like maybe they picked the wrong weekend and everything else is all in competition at the same time. But that does seem like, they're very aggressive here in the number of people that they are anticipating come to this event.
Well, do we even know how many people?
It's usually
16
very
teams,
heavily
but, yeah,
trafficked.
but we don't, I mean, they really didn't say how many.
How does this compare to the other tournaments that we've
I
had?
think the other
According
one
to
would have had
them, it's
more.
the smaller.
Yeah, this is,
Yeah, this is the largest one. This is,
oh, no, this is the smaller.
Smaller.
The
smaller?
last
Yeah.
one that we had was the larger one, but this is still, if you have 16 teams,
That's
how
a
many's
lot
on the
of-
team? 15?
Well, usually you
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
minimum of 15.
and they're doing a round robin or some sort of, double elimination or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
But, 7 pages of drawings and
They're just being
I have a
thorough.
question with it too, because on the first page of it, it says, "We do not intend to shuttle," but in their packet that they said
Exactly.
they're shuttling.
Yeah.
So which
I
is
would
it?
only suggest they better plan to shuttle because,
Yeah.
They won't be
it was-
shuttling down the closed street if they have to shuttle, but that's only for Friday. Well, and the market Saturday.
And Saturday.
Yeah,
And the
so-
homecoming, well, I don't remember. is
Or
it-
the homecoming parade would be Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Or is it on Fridays? Guys, I don't know.
The parade might be on Friday.
Yeah, because then they go to the game.
football
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the game
okay,
is
so-
on Saturday.
And they did, just for additional color, they told me this morning, once they realized it was homecoming, they moved their start time back to 6:30 on Friday night,
Oh, okay.
in an attempt maybe to avoid some of that. I don't know
Okay.
if that would be fruitful to avoid the congestion, but they did tell me that once they made that realization, they moved everything back. So I heard someone say it was going to be 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., and that's not the plan on Friday.
Okay.
At
Well, I
least
mean, that's
verbally, what he
this
told me
says.
today was
Yeah.
they wouldn't start until 6:30 on Friday evening.
Do we know how they're shuttling?
They did include several pictures.
No, but I
and-
mean, what vehicle are they?
Well,
Oh, they're using the
providing the
senior center?
shuttle, then
Okay.
that's-
That's why I'm saying you're not showing
Okay.
us.
I just wondered, because that's what I was hoping it was a full, a good shuttle vehicle, since the one wanted to use a golf cart.
Oh, my goodness. Could you imagine?
I'm more than happy to use
You
mine.
know,
I'll
that
be
they're-
right back.
Have all this,
All those
Oh, yeah,
churches are gonna be
that's-
filled, except while they have a service.
Yes,
Take
it
it
is.
on
I'll
M15?
tell you what, every street.
it's the Bond Street legal.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to shuttle them around
It's legal in the state of
on
Michigan.
M15, then down by Rite Aid, or by
I can call
Dollar
They're
Store.
gonna wanna take.
Then again, it didn't come in the amount, in the right amount of time either. so
Have they held this tournament here before? Does anybody know?
I don't know about this
I
one.
thought they had.
I know the one last time
Amber, do you
has
I
been here.
don't recognize this one.
Oh.
I could
Yeah.
let you know in the morning.
I don't
Has it occurred before? No.
Fast pitching.
Yeah, because I wasn't even sure who the,
Oh, it did say
The
no. It's
company
not a good-
was.
This is the first time.
yeah,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And are they, and I know you probably won't know this, but are they the same or related to the company that did the other tournament?
It's the
Yeah.
same.
It's the same
I'll
company?
say-
Oh,
They're
okay,
just
okay.
wooden bat this time,
Yeah.
so it's like the classic wooden bat.
Yeah, okay, so I did talk to the village manager this morning about my concerns, and he can probably talk to the council more about that, but again, with, you know, as far as any money that is coming to the village, there is none. I do not know if they're even aware of what the pricing was for the trash cans, or how much did we charge for Bob's time that is on our permit? None of that is in here, so I'm not sure. So the village manager can talk more about that, but those were the concerns.
Matt, do you know the guy that's running this? Is he?
I've dealt with him before in my previous life, but not close enough to say that I know him.
Okay. Because we're kind of, in a way, we're asking for someone to kind of vouch for him, or maybe, has he done?
Part of what's strange here is that this request for this event was made through Brandon Township Parks and Rec. So John at Brandon Township Parks and Rec knows the guy.
Okay.
The payment is apparently also being made to Brandon Township Parks and Rec at a number that, from what I can tell, didn't include any concern about recompense to the village for services or use of the
Here we go
fields.
again.
John and I have spoken about it. John being John Hug, had told me that in July, his intention and his plan was there was a meeting on the schedule with Ryan, with my predecessor, to discuss how, when he's planning events, how we can get on the same page where the village is being properly compensated. Obviously, with Ryan leaving, that meeting didn't happen, and so he had asked me this morning if he and I could get together and talk about that. But that's going to be for 2025. We're not going to, we can't implement that stuff this quickly, obviously. We do have, in our full application, there is a breakdown in a table with specific line item charges.
Yes, it
And
is.
that should have been the complete, now, we only have a portion of the application here, but they should have received the whole packet having those numbers. Why that didn't translate to there being a dollar amount charge that would then be distributed between us and Brandon, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I do know that my intention would be to calculate what our expenses are and to bill them to the township for it. And frankly, I suppose it's up to them to figure out where it's going to come from. And then hopefully, moving forward, we're going to be working together much more collegially on an understanding that there are costs incurred, and those costs that are incurred need to be recovered.
Well, they do know there are costs incurred, and we had, we passed and approved this months ago, so our permit with these costs in it. So they know that those are, but for the overall pay, like, what do they pay for an event such as that? That was the thing that was supposed to be worked out.
Yeah, we talked about that this year, and we were kind of seeing how it went this year to see what where are our expenses, where do we need to get on board with him? And I like some of your ideas of exactly how we accomplish this. We did bill him for Bob's time because there was a lot of extra time submitted by our DPW, so, and they paid the bill, you know,
For what event?
without question, so.
What event are you
So we
talking
are,
about?
one of these baseball events, I'm not exactly sure which one,
Okay.
but I know that we have done that in the past where we billed them after the fact and said, hey, you know, this is, so.
Which is
you know,
how we
we are
do
at
it.
least getting DPW time back from these events, but I do agree with you that there needs to be more given back to us, and we also need to discuss what we maintain and what they maintain, because I think they had, when I was out with my grandson, they had a volunteer lining the field for the tournament, for a game, or some tournament or something coming in. It wasn't a tournament, but it was a special game at night. So, I mean, I think this really reads very similar to the other ones that we approved. I think if they're, I feel that it's good that they're willing to back off on their time, their start time due to homecoming. Maybe we can attach a couple of conditions.
What about the
I would
insurance
say-
part?
Yeah, the insurance part, I would just say we contact them, we approve it conditionally today, because we're not gonna meet again.
Right.
And that in a letter or a phone call to the sponsor here, that you are able to persuade them to take a couple of steps, like the shuttle bus service and like the cleanup fees and like the parking, so that we're able to continue to have this event. Because if you kind of get one shot at it. And this, we don't have enough time. We couldn't kick this down the road till our next meeting, no
Right.
matter what.
Right.
And I know that up till this time, he's probably got a great deal of planning that they have put into this, and they're anticipating this was just maybe a formality of some sort that wasn't really a concern. And unbeknownst to them, to us, it is a concern.
Well, and I think that's part of the problem, is that John takes these in, and he doesn't notify us immediately, and we have a,
Well, I do have no
contact
doubt
point.
that John, at
I
some
don't know.
point, had contacted Brian earlier this spring and talked about it, and Ryan just didn't push it further down
Yeah.
the road.
This
Not
was
Ryan.
received
just-
on
Matt.
8/1, because I have to
Yes.
sign it in.
I just was gonna mention a couple things. Number one, if this was received on August 1st, it does not meet the 60-day
Right.
minimum.
It already
requirement.
doesn't meet the.
And number two, we're having an awful lot of discussion without having a motion on the floor.
Right.
We're supposed to do it the other way around, have a motion, then the discussion, so. I
True
would
enough,
like
but
to
they
see
missed the
somebody
60
do a
days
motion.
by, I think, about 41 hours or something. So, by
Make a
day.
motion then.
Okay. What are the conditional things that
yeah,
we
I'd like
wanted?
to know the conditions. we
I don't
want
know what they
attached.
are. They're just gonna be some reasonable, they're not demands. They're just,
Okay, I make a motion to conditionally approve the event permit for the Black Hawks Wood Bat Tournament, provided that the schedule is clarified in relation to the possibility of the homecoming parade and parking considerations.
And insurance.
Insurance.
And insurance.
Yeah.
And costs.
Well, that we're gonna get.
Can I make a
Put
point
that
of
in the
clarification?
motion.
Yes.
If we're going to, there has to be someone making that decision. Am I being given the authority to make that decision on behalf of council, that those parameters have been met, to give that final approval?
Yeah.
Or is that, do I need to
If
bring
all
that
of
back?
those are met, then.
if they're met, they
I
get.
just wanted to be clear on.
Yeah.
Yep, you
Thank
get the thumbs up to, basically, because we're not gonna meet again, you're gonna be
Right.
in control of this and how it goes down, based on how well you communicate it with the township park guy and the guy that's putting this thing on. And if the three of you seem to agree on all the things that we have concerns with, then we're good to go.
Understood.
And I'm assuming that if you had any questions, you could always do a straw poll out to council.
Certainly.
To get our input.
I
Okay.
support.
There's been a motion and support and plenty of discussion. So,
Can-
but if there's more to
I had something
come-
else I wanted to say, no, it's just left my mind. Oh, I just wanted to say that I did, and I don't know if it, I don't think this has an impact, a negative impact on our farmer's market. And I also want to say that I don't know if it impacts the village that much because we don't have a great eatery in the village, but I did hear that many of these attendees hit our local restaurants on M15. So it is kind of nice to bring people to Ortonville.
Okay, I want to have a roll call vote.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Randazzo.
No.
Mold.
No.
Nibel.
What was she, a yes or no? I did not hear.
She was a no.
No.
2 noes so far.
Okay. No.
Brooks.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes. We are putting a lot of confidence in the village manager to just try his best to make this go right. As you see, it's a 4-3 vote. So with that, we will move forward, let them know tomorrow, I guess, so that they can keep planning on their end. And we're going to do our best to meet, to get our requirements met as well. Okay, that takes care of that. Next are the two, it looks like they go hand in hand,
No, they're separate years.
with the exception that they're separate years, which I didn't get to finish my sentence yet.
I got worried.
Yeah, okay, slow down. D being municipal credit contract for the year 2024, and E being the municipal credit contract for the year 2025.
I make a motion to approve the municipal credit and community credit contract for fiscal year 2024.
Support?
I have one thing I gotta say. If we're gonna vote on this, I have to abstain from this, if you want me to, because I work for the center.
That's okay. You can
So
still vote.
as long as there's nobody feels there's a conflict of
no.
interest.
No.
There
I'll
is.
vote. But
It's
Do you feel
probably,
you would have a
probably wise of you to
that's
to
what I'm
do
leaving
that.
up to you guys. If you guys trust me not to have a conflict, I won't have a conflict. So,
I don't
as long
think
as
I
you
have
all know.
No,
you'll see me
thank
in the
you.
bus.
And I think that's important to put on record, so thank you.
Yeah.
So, am I okay to vote?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
absolutely.
We have a motion. Did someone support? Okay, is there further discussion on it?
This is
Not-
basically approving what they brought to us earlier.
I
We are
had some questions
transferring
too.
our credits to Brandon Township.
Right.
Can we ask questions
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Faye
it's- yeah.
then? Okay. All right, so Faye, I do not understand, and I'm pretty up on this, because I fought this like crazy, when no one even knew about it, so, the whole transit authority. So, so Oakland County gets like $68.2 million a year for this. And between, I think, us and Rose and Holly, we pay out right around $3 million a year for this. So I know Groveland now is with Holly and Rose doing WODA. They all went and worked it out with Oakland County and how they do it and blah, 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 and they even have a place that is supposed to be in Holly, I guess, where they pick up and whatever they call that. So why are we still staying with SMART in addition to the fact that we are paying for NODA? Because we're paying for it, both village and township.
So, what you're paying for out of the tax money is going to WODA and NODA. And I will tell you that WODA basically, without using EX word.
So should we say nada de nota?
Said that if Groveland Township gave their community credits to us, they would stop servicing their area.
Okay.
And it didn't make a difference.
Mhm.
They went with us. They do service their area, and just like Notice services here periodically, but we get none of that money.
Mhm.
The smart money that, for the community credits, is the only money that we get.
Mhm.
Whereas for.
And is that generated from the millage then that we are having
No.
to pay? So it is a tax on top of a tax. So there's a millage tax that we're paying for the transit, and then there's another tax we're paying for smart?
No, this is coming from Smart. It's I believe it's, you probably should talk to Rosalind to be on the safe side, but I believe it's part of like a grant money that Smart gets.
Mhm.
It's based, I believe, on the number of passengers or the mileage of that's
So the
driven.
grant covers the cost of the
No.
transportation and the bus drivers and the, no.
Brandon Township covers the
Right,
rest.
so we do pay for that in taxes. Okay, so we're paying for double transportation companies, one that got shoved down our throats,
Right.
right? And then the one that we choose to have, in addition to,
Right.
okay.
Okay. Okay, moved and supported and discussed. Roll call, please.
Hayden,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Mold,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. And am I safe to assume that the next one is identical, however, the calendar year is different? Okay, that being said,
Well, I'll make the same motion except for the fiscal year 2025.
Support.
short versions like that, Larry, I like it.
That was good.
We got to write that one down. Okay, moved and supported. Any further discussion as it relates to 2025?
No, but can we get copies of Exhibit A and the breakdowns?
Sure,
Awesome, thank you.
somebody be happy to get it for us. Okay, roll call again, please.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Mold,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. Okay, that takes us on to number 13, which is, this is the launching, I should say, or the inaugural manager's report. It's going to become quite an item, I'm sure, down the road, and every meeting we come to, we will
Oh, they're turning with.
anticipate waiting for the manager report to come out.
I have the tendency to move away from brevity normally, but understand there's a time here. Normally, I would tell everyone to take a restroom
And
break
I
and
do
hold on
want
tight,
to,
but-
I do want to tell you, I appreciate that a great deal.
Yeah. So I got some items I'm working on, just want to update the council. First of all, obviously, my first few weeks in the job, I've spent a significant amount of time in the neighborhoods, in the community, getting to know business owners, getting to know some residents and stakeholders. I've been to several meetings already and got to see a lot of familiar faces who are going to all the same meetings. So there's obviously a hearty group of people who are volunteering significant time. I've found people to be incredibly passionate so far, which is one of the things I expected. One of my first impressions of Ortonville when I first came here 8 or 9 years ago when we moved here was that there's a great deal of pride from the people that live down here, and you can sense it. And being in this office, I can sense it even more. I can see there's concerned citizens, they're respectful, there's people who reach out and are involved and engaged and who are really smart people. A couple things that have been brought to my attention, I've been blown away by the research that people have done, and they're bringing to me solutions to a problem rather than just a problem to fix, which is exciting to see for sure. I'm very much am excited about continuing to build those relationships, and also then building the same with my team, with those that report to me. I've worked on meeting individually with all of them and having some individual face-to-face time, and I've got more of that coming, and kind of building and helping them know that I'm a supportive leader and, appreciating the things that they do, from the DPW to my clerk and treasurer and, wherever I can kind of make that impact, building that team stronger, that's, something I committed to before. So I spent a lot of time catching up on the mailbox and jumping in on projects that are at varying stages of completion and trying to get smart enough to jump on the horse wherever they are and keep them moving forward. That really has been the bulk of my time. I do think at this point I am caught up, so to speak. I've gotten through everything that I would say was on fire, quote unquote, not to use the term loosely, but the things that were the most pressing and the most bubbling up, we've got everything kind of moving forward again, the things that may have been stopped over the weeks where there was no manager. So the projects I want to update you on, the first being the water metering project. This is for a community septic system that was brought by almost everybody I first spoke to. I know that the sewer has been a discussion for a long time. What we're talking about now is looking at feasibility and analyzing the possibility of doing some shared community septic for just the commercial properties, right? So we're not involving residences at all. This would be the first phase. What we're looking at is putting meters on for usage. So each building would have its own meter put on. We have one plumber. We got a couple of quotes, and we have one that ideally we want to move forward with. Have them come out, put those meters on. They say it'll take a day to a day and a half. Then we'll start collecting usage data, and that usage data is necessary in order to move into the design phase and look at, first of all, is it feasible? What size would these fields have to be? Do we have space? All those kind of things. So in order to get the design ball rolling, we have to collect this data. So that one we're moving fairly quickly on, getting that part moving. The next thing I want to update you on is the concession stand. I did include a picture in the packet. What you see there is a new cement pad that's been laid down. This is for handicap parking and a ramp, and a handicap accessible ramp, wheelchair ramp all the way up to the concession stand and then over toward the field, which is a nice addition. It's only going to be, by my guess of looking at it, I believe it's going to be 4 handicap spots. But this will be nice to have those. Right now there's a couple marked off in the dirt, but these will be nice even surfaces where vans can get down and chairs can roll on. Obviously a much safer option for those who need it. The rest of that project, nearing completion, there is a holdup on garage doors. That's why some of you haven't seen necessarily a lot of progress recently. Once those garage doors are delivered, the contractor has assured me that there's not a lot of time left once those doors are in and delivered, so then they can lock it up and they can do the rest of the work inside. So, trail update, we did have a couple of complaints come in from residents about some work being done on the trails and the question as to whether or not the trails inside the park area are on wetlands. And so we did have, we were put on notice by Eagle that if those were wetlands, any kind of modifications we were doing wouldn't be allowed without going through the proper channel of approval, make sure it's being done correctly. I did go out myself and walk as much of the trail as I could find on both ends, and I couldn't verify that anything that was being claimed was being done. What I found was that there were a couple spots on trails where trees had fallen down. You could see where they fell in a storm or whatever, and they may have been cut just to move them off the trail. But they weren't pulling growth of trees out other than maybe little saplings that were popping up in the trail itself. And none of that looked fresh. Those cuts all looked aged to me. So I wasn't able, and I spoke to the Eagle representative, I told him I was not able to verify those things. He was very much on board with that, happy with the report to come back, and happy to work with us moving forward, whatever and however that project materializes, that they want to be part of supporting it as long as they understand that we're trying to do it the right way as well.
Where were the wetlands?
So there's actually a wetland map that shows almost the entirety of the 48 acres are either wetland or mixed wetland and soil. The soil area is more where the trails are, but one thing I'll tell you and one thing he agreed on is that those maps are really difficult to read to a detailed level. So when you zoom down to the street, it's very hard to tell, well, this green appears to go right on the street itself. Well, obviously it can't do that. We have a public easement on that land, right? But does it really go there, or is it 6 feet over here? And so going down to the actual foot on land where the line is very difficult to determine. And so
anything along the ITC corridor? Is that the issue right now? Or?
Well, It's hard to say because I have been unsuccessful in my few attempts to reach out to the person who made the complaint.
Okay. all
And so I don't have an exact answer of
Yeah.
what actual footage they're talking about.
Okay.
So that's why I went out and walked it. I walked, like I say, as much of the trail as I could find. I'm sure there's other parts out there that I haven't found yet. I'm looking for people who know so that I can go out and look at more.
I'll go with you
But
anytime. Let me know.
As I said, and as I told him comfortably, I do not see any evidence of anything that you were concerned about when he formally put us on notice that we may be disturbing wetland, which obviously would be a violation of multiple regulations. So.
He probably got his information, though, from a disgruntled homeowner.
Correct.
Right adjacent to that, who would oppose the project for other reasons as well as wetland.
And that seems like a reasonable explanation. And you can tell when you go back in there that the homeowners adjacent to it are clearly using it. There's bike paths in there. There's a couple spots where obviously repeated bonfires have been lit. There's a hunting blind back there, which is not permitted. There's a couple things.
And the bonfires are on the acreage, on the 40.
Correct.
48. That can't be
Yeah,
happening.
where you can see that there's,
Okay.
larger trunks of trees, or larger
We
chunks
had
of wood
problems
that
like this
have clearly been
few years
burned.
back, so, yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely residents who think the park is part of their backyard that are doing the violations rather than our DPW.
Yes, I don't think the claim was that DPW was. There was a claim that my predecessor had instructed citizens that they could go out and tear trees out, and I'm not sure the veracity of that claim. And that was the primary concern of the gentleman from EGLE, was if we were instructing people to go out there and be the trail crew, that we would be well in the wrong. And again, I couldn't verify that had happened, so they're comfortable right now that we're not doing anything out of line. And obviously, if anyone's aware of such an instruction, help me to know who it went to so we can correct that instruction. But I don't have any evidence that it occurred at this point. So. The next thing I have, the Historical Society had worked on a agreement with us involving their use of the mill, which I'm being specifically careful about. What they're trying to do is draft a lease, but they're trying to avoid the word lease because they thought that put some restrictions on them. What they really ended up drafting, you would call a memorandum of understanding, but it really wasn't drafted properly for that either. And so I think because the relationship between the village and the Historical Society and the preservation of that mill are so important to this community, and it's easy to see, and it's, even if no one else thought it, I would stand on the mountain and shout out that place is important. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of our village for sure. And I just think the relationship's too important to have what I would deem a sloppy legal agreement. And now, I'm not insulting anybody who wrote it. We did apparently have our attorney look at it and approve it, but based on its current state, I can't say that anything more than eyes looked at the piece of paper. So I have an issue that I'm going to take up with our attorney about how you would approve such a document. But we're working on that, and I want you to know it came off the agenda. It was voted on by the Historical Society, and they were expecting it to be voted on tonight. But I couldn't, in good conscience, look at that agreement and look at the way that it may create some issues down the road and not just address those issues now. My goal is that at our next meeting, I will have a draft version for you all to see. I'll be involving people who have been involved with it before to make sure we're doing it well. But really what we need is a lease that the terms are agreed upon. So that's where I'm recommending we move toward, and I'm going to continue to work on that, of course, unless you all tell me not to.
What the previous manager had mentioned to me is we're still working off of a lease from 1988.
Correct.
So we're not without something. We've
Right.
just got something that needs to be revised.
Right. And the reason this came to light is there's issues with the HVAC system in both the old building and in the school. And right now they feel like they cannot do a school program. They can't have kids visit in the winter because the heat's not functional. And what they wanted to figure out was who's responsible to pay for that. Is it the landlord or the tenant? And I said, well, if you don't have a lease, you don't technically have a landlord or tenant. Now, the reality is a court would impose a lease because there's clearly a landlord-tenant relationship. So, but that term hasn't been discussed. And so that's something we have to figure out, is who's going to take the responsibility for that. and leases can go either way, especially commercial leases, as to whether the landlord or the tenant is responsible for those kind of repairs. What I am going to try to do is at least get someone out. Hamilton's Propane does HVAC work, and those guys are obviously local. They're the adjacent property. I'm going to ask them to come out and look and give us an idea of what's needed. I did speak with Alan Allgaier this morning, and he told me he's kind of been the guy who's worked on it. He said that the schoolhouse is the biggest priority, and that he thinks the furnace is okay. It's just a matter of someone shut the gas off and someone has messed with the controls to the point that it doesn't function. So my hope is somebody who knows what they're doing can come take a look at it, make those corrections. We don't need new equipment. The mill, the museum is another story. It has 4 furnaces that are all about as old as their rental agreement is with us. And so, that might be more significant. And so we're going to have to look at, again, who takes the responsibility, where do we raise the funds, and those kind of questions will be coming up in the very short term.
Okay, thank you.
No, you had another one?
I do, but I don't have to do it.
Oh, no, you can
No,
do it.
I've been waiting over a year for this to be talked about. So
You
go.
also have 3 pictures in your packet of a
Right,
sidewalk
don't stop 'em
on
now.
South Street.
Yeah.
Our director of DPW came to me one of his first days and walked me over there and showed me 7 or 8 of the panels that needed to be replaced. This was a project that was going on already when I came in. We looked at the panels specifically that needed to be replaced, and they were kind of 3 here, and then a couple okay ones, and then another bad one, and then another okay one. And I said, well, why don't we got a quote. The quote was significantly cheaper than we expected, and we ended up getting a second quote from Hill here in town because we thought have someone local look at it. And they came in at almost the exact same dollar amount. So I asked the gentleman from Hill to come out and meet with Bob and I. And we looked at that and decided it might make more sense to replace this whole section rather than this piece and that piece and that piece. And it's going to give a continuity of a look for all of South Street, which most of the north end is relatively newer, and almost all of the south end is relatively newer, and this area in the middle
Right in
is
between.
clearly not. So we looked at it, we figured out it was 160 foot versus the 48 foot we originally quoted, and they came back with a very happy price, and so we're going to move forward with getting that done. Our guys are going to do all the demo, they're going to do all the new concrete work, and I made sure a term of our agreement was that it will be cured, walkable, and ready before September Fest. So that whole stretch will be new by September Fest.
Cool.
The one thing it does include a driveway access for one of the homes, actually 2 homes that share that driveway.
Yeah.
And so,
Isn't one of them like a newer driveway?
the driveway is new, yes,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
our part of the sidewalk is not. So I'm sure they're going to be very happy that now it's
You
going
know,
to
what are the
match.
chances of that to?
I was wondering why they just didn't keep going. But
Yeah, but the newest driveway, and we're right there is a section, huh? All right, so, yeah, they know to be careful around the new
So
driveway.
what was the ballpark estimate to do that 160-foot section?
It's about $5,500. And we were expecting about 12,000, so we were very pleasantly surprised. Not
I know
only,
that above a certain amount, it would have to come to us. So
Right,
it's like,
but
must
it
have
was
been a pretty
under.
good price on it then.
yeah, and like I said, it was work that was already worked on. This project was already, the money was already earmarked, but we've saved significantly and are doing considerably more, so. And it's a local vendor who has a business right around the corner, so we anticipate them taking a lot of pride in the way it looks, so.
The fact that they can get it done before September
Yes.
Fest is key. That's great.
So that's the update on that. I tend to work in what I call a 30, 60, 90 view. So those are my 30-day priorities. 60 and 90 are the longer range things. 2 things I'm just going to make you aware of. There's no need for discussion. I just want you aware that they're coming up in the next 2 to 3 months. I did get a call from the attorney representing the permit holders for the marijuana businesses. They informed me that their original budget and the original, I'm not even sure what to call it, the gift they committed to going to Ortonville, the upfront payment, I'm sorry, I don't know the right terminology, that basically their plan was rejected by this body, and now the new plan that they've had to come up with in order to be compliant with code is significantly more expensive, and they want to open a discussion about negotiating that front-end payment to compensate for that. Now, we haven't gone very far. I've only asked them for what they would suggest or recommend first. So like I said, there's no discussion to be had right now. I'm just putting that on your radar, that conversation is something I'm involved in. And of course, anything material that comes out of it will come to this body. The other is a conservation easement that the Blue Heron Conservancy is asking to put on our parkland. They were so bold as to bring me a draft easement and ask me to just bring it tonight to have you all sign it, which I thought was quite a boss move. But obviously, there's a lot of research and consideration to be done. I'm going to work on putting together some cogent thoughts and some research about what that decision would be, what would be the pros and cons. You know, there are certainly some benefits. They cite that they're able to persuade Oakland County to come out and help us mitigate the phragmites, which would be significant for us. They are an invasive species of weed that has taken over a lot of our community, a lot of the wetlands especially. I just got a notice from one resident who lives on, I don't want to mess it up, I think is it Cedar Lake? I'm not even sure. Okay, good, I got it. Where the phragmites are choking out the fish and the wildlife, and they're basically rendering that space no longer usable. And so we do need to work on mitigating that. I have one environmental consultant in my circle, in my Rolodex, so to speak, that I'm trying to learn from. So I'll be bringing that information all as part of that. But again, that's probably a 90-day priority right now.
The Brandon Township has someone that they work through for those phragmites that they have on the website that people locally can call, because we've had him out before.
Yeah.
What exactly is Blue Heron asking for?
They want an indefinite conservation easement on that property.
Yeah.
That obviously that they would be. What the conservation easement would do is give them the right to sue us if we ever attempted to use that property for anything outside of conservation use. You know, any use that was
Which property
in
is
opposition. They were talking about both. Well, you know what? I want to be careful.
Okay.
I know for sure they're talking about the 48-acre park.
Yeah.
I believe in casual conversation with this, she mentioned our other park areas too, and the Kersley Creek, and but I'm not in a position to make that statement officially because I'm not sure if I'm remembering that accurately or not. Her primary concern was the parkland, and her primary commitment was that she could get Oakland County to come out and do mitigation throughout all the parkland for the phragmites or
And
phragmites.
we certainly could do that too. We can call them and have them come out. That's a phone call. But, all right, keep us posted with that one.
I will. I'll have much more information next time I talk about it, but I just wanted to put it on your radar.
Okay, well, you hit a triple for your first time on.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. That's a lot.
And thanks for the detail on all those things. They were just extremely insightful, and that's kind of what a manager's report is supposed to be. There are things we're not going to be voting on, but there are things that we need to start thinking about so that when we do have to vote on, we'll be better informed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one question for you. Have you been in touch at all with Rick McAvinci in our community?
I know the name. Is he the planning commissioner?
He was planning commissioner, and he's also a forester by trade. And
Oh, okay.
he knows a lot about a lot of those topics,
Great.
the
And
natural things.
I
He's
know-
a great resource to hit up.
Yeah, he's definitely on my list. I have not met him yet. I know our off-the-record conversation earlier, I was talking about this week, I'm going to start focus on the planning commission because they have a meeting next week, so I certainly think I'll run into him this week. Actually, I should ask Amber, is that someone I've met yet? No, okay. Just want to be sure. She's
No.
He's actually involved in
he's no longer.
the trails as well.
Okay.
He's no longer on the planning
Yeah,
commission.
he just
Oh, okay.
recently
No.
stepped down from planning commission,
To
but
take-
he still said he would be willing to, support us with the trail
Right.
efforts and all
I
those
gotcha.
things too. So.
I just associated his name with it. Must be something from Ryan's document. Put that name together with planning commission in my head. So
He also helped with the trees. That's where it came up there
Yep.
too.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thanks again, Ryan. That leads us to item
Matt.
14.
It's Matt.
Matt.
Matt, geez, oh Pete.
Matt Ryan.
Mr. Ryan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr.
Mr.
Ryan, go
Ryan.
with that.
Yeah. Ryan Mattis, Matt
Matt-
Ryan, it gets confusing.
It sure is, I'll tell you what.
I want to
I
thank
hope
you
nobody-
personally for the sidewalk repairs, and you as well in front of Q's Quilting. They were two areas that were horrendous, and when I first joined council, I thought, oh yeah, I'm sitting there, I can get this done. And It's been over a year and
Good
it still
job,
wasn't
Linda.
done, so it finally got done, yes.
Oh, I think that's quick.
Well, that credit goes to Bob and Ken, not to me. I'm just the one who got to finally put it together. So.
Right. So are we ready to make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, if somebody will support it.
Yeah.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we